Introduction. What if England had conquered France? History is a chain of events that could have unfolded differently. Take, for example, the Hundred Years' War between England and France. This conflict lasted over a century, actually 116 years, but not everyone knows that France was on the brink of total annihilation as a nation. If it weren't for Joan of Arc, European history might have taken an entirely different course. Imagine a world where France became part of the English crown, with London as the capital of an empire spanning both sides of the English Channel. What consequences would this have had for Europe? Let's explore. This article examines the hypothetical scenario: what would have happened if England had won during the Hundred Years' War and fully subjugated France? We will delve into the political, economic, and social implications of such a situation and attempt to predict how long such a union might have lasted. What do we know about the Hundred Years' War? Let's start by recalling some key facts about the conflict that became one of the most significant in medieval European history. The Hundred Years' War began in 1337 when the English King Edward III claimed rights to the French throne. The reasons were multifaceted. Genealogical claims: Edward III was the grandson of the French King Philip IV the Fair through his mother, Isabella of France. When the Capetian dynasty ended in the male line, Edward declared he had a legitimate claim to the throne. Territorial disputes: the English had long sought to reclaim lost territories in France, such as Normandy and Aquitaine. These regions once belonged to the Plantagenet kings of England. Economic interests: France was a vital market for English goods, especially wool. The conflict was partly driven by the desire to control trade. The first phase of the war, 1337 to 1360, ended with English victories. They achieved stunning triumphs at the battles of Crécy 1346 and Poitiers 1356. The French King John II even fell into captivity. However, the second phase, 1369 to 1389, proved less successful for England. Under Charles V the Wise, the French began retaking their lands. By 1415, the situation changed again. The English King Henry V reignited the war and scored incredible successes. He crushed the French at Agincourt, occupied Normandy, and signed the Treaty of Troyes 1420, which made him heir to the French throne. Fate, however, intervened. Henry V died unexpectedly in 1422, just 2 months before the death of the mentally ill French King Charles VI. His infant son, Henry VI, formally became king of both England and France. However, his reign was fraught with problems due to inherited mental illness from his grandfather. How could the situation have developed? Suppose Henry V had lived longer and completed his mission. What then? 1. Full conquest of France. If Henry V hadn't died in 1422, he likely would have successfully concluded his campaign against France. His military genius and personal charisma would have helped overcome any obstacles. For instance, the Scots. In 1422, Scottish forces landed in France and dealt several defeats to the English. But an experienced commander like Henry could have quickly regained the upper hand. The Dauphin Charles, the future Charles VII, a pillar of resistance, would either have been destroyed or forced to surrender. Without support from Scotland and other allies, he posed no serious threat. Thus, by the late 1420s, all of modern-day France might have come under English control. 2. Governing the United Kingdom. However, ruling such a vast territory would not have been easy. Several critical questions needed addressing. Capital. Where would the capital of this new kingdom be located? Most likely, it would remain London, as England always considered itself the dominant partner. Nevertheless, effective governance of France would require a robust administrative system on the continent. Viceroy. Who would govern France in the name of the English king? One potential candidate might have been Philip III the Good, Duke of Burgundy. He already collaborated with the English and possessed the necessary experience managing large territories. Fiscal policy. To sustain such a massive state, unified tax rules would need to be established. This could provoke discontent among the French population, historically resistant to excessive levies. 3. Social and cultural consequences. The unification of England and France would have impacted many aspects of life. Language. The English language would likely have become predominant in official and business spheres, though French would continue to be used in high society. Religion. Both countries were Catholic, so religious differences wouldn't have posed a major issue. However, the English Church might have gained more authority over French dioceses. Culture. French culture, renowned for its sophistication, could have significantly influenced English society. Perhaps new art forms blending traditions from both nations would have emerged. Problems of the United Kingdom. Despite its apparent simplicity, there were serious issues that could undermine the longevity of such a union. 1. Genetic predetermination. Henry VI, son of Henry V, inherited mental illness from his maternal grandfather, Charles VI the Mad. This became one of the causes of internal conflicts in England, known as the Wars of the Roses. If Henry V had truly become King of France, his eventual illness would have created fertile ground for new confrontations. 2. Ambitions of viceroys. Any viceroy appointed to govern France would eventually seek independence. For example, Philip III the Good might have seized an opportunity during a period of English weakness to declare himself an independent ruler. This would have sparked another wave of wars. 3. National identity. The French would never fully accept foreign rule. Even if they temporarily recognized the authority of an English king, sooner or later, a new movement for independence would arise. History shows that national identity is hard to suppress. Alternative scenario, the return of France. Even if England managed to conquer France temporarily, its independence was inevitable. Here's why. Internal conflicts in England. The Wars of the Roses weakened the English crown, giving the French a chance to regain control of their territory. Strong French leaders. After Henry V's death, the French found inspiration in figures like Joan of Arc and Charles VII. Their efforts helped liberate the country. Economic hardships. Governing two large countries required enormous expenses. England simply couldn't afford to maintain such an empire indefinitely. Conclusion. While the hypothetical scenario of England conquering France seems intriguing, reality suggests that such a union would have been extremely unstable. The French always retained a strong sense of national identity, which could never be completely suppressed. Moreover, internal problems in England made long-term control of France impossible. Thus, history would likely have followed a similar path as it did in reality. France would regain independence, albeit with some delay. However, this hypothetical scenario allows us to better understand the complex relationship between these two great European powers.